So here you are, at a point of having to make a choice between the capital S self you are and the made-up small s self that you can never really be. And you're going to have to make the choice on purpose, and you're going to have to make it over and over and over. Because that's how you escape an unnatural bondage to ignorance, to being asleep, not fully awake, constantly in a dopey, drowsy state that doesn't absorb the fullness of everything in front of you. Continuing, freedom to choose is the same power as freedom to create, but its application is different. The difference is the power to choose as you have been using it, not as it's being spoken of here. The power to choose is the power to create definitions and choose for your definition which has as its function self-protection, which is selfish in nature. Where the power to create is your capacity to make a gift, to extend, to glorify God by extending what God is to your brothers, your sisters, your world, your universe, and everything in it. The power to create is your innate power to extend blessing to everything by recognizing God in everything, you see? It's unselfish. You might say it's otherish. Except in extending truth, in extending love, in extending the essence of what God is to your brother, you provide yourself with the experience that your brother is yourself, that your brother is not separate from you, that your brother is not other than you. Because the function each of you has is the same function: to glorify God. Continuing, choosing means divided will. The Holy Spirit is one way of choosing. This way is in you because there is also another way. Do you get that? The Holy Spirit is one way of choosing. This way is in you because there is also another way. What that means is that you seem to have created another way. You seem to have created for yourself a capacity to think for yourself, to choose for yourself, to have an intent of your own that originates with you and nothing else. And you believe you have succeeded, and you govern yourselves accordingly. Having created that imaginary capacity to choose, which you could never totally succeed at having created, it made you as that divine one whose function it is to glorify God another choice. But when you finally abandon thinking that you have a capacity to choose independent of God, then glorifying God, being the fullness of the radiance of what God is expressing Himself as right where you are, will be the unchallenged nature of being and won't constitute a choice at all. Nevertheless, while you seem to have made the choice for doing things your way, and I'm continuing here, God did not leave His children comfortless, even though they chose to leave Him. The voice they put in their minds was not the voice of His will, for which the Holy Spirit speaks. You see, the divine one that you are never speaks for itself. It speaks for God. And that's why it's absolutely necessary to understand that this is not a course to give the one you think you are a better means of control. A better way for you to speak for yourself. A higher, loftier motive for speaking for yourself. So that you might one day perhaps change the world with the loftiness of a position you have taken as an independent one, you see, without ever having remembered who you really are. The Holy Spirit speaks for God, not for you. Your real self speaks for God, not for itself. You see the difference? Until you catch the scent, the flavor of the meaning of what I've just said, you can't possibly be in a position of being an agent for change in the world or a healing presence in the world. Continuing, the call to return is stronger than the call to depart, but it speaks in a different way. It not only speaks in a different way, it speaks with a different intent, and it speaks for a different outcome. It doesn't speak for an outcome of self-preservation. It speaks for an outcome of the extension of all that God is through you. And you know, I'll promise you something. The excitement you think you experience being an independent ego, making decisions and definitions on its own, and trying to succeed in overcoming the hostile world it sees itself living in. The excitement and thrill of that doesn't begin to match the joy and the bliss and the innocence and the utter safety that you experience when you're being utterly congruent with your capital S self and are introducing nothing foreign to it. Continuing. The voice of the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than your right mind, the voice of the Holy Spirit does not command because it is incapable of arrogance. It does not demand because it does not seek control. It does not overcome because it does not attack. It merely reminds. And that's what I'm constantly doing. It's constantly reminding you of the truth, which you deeply know within your being because you couldn't get rid of it even if you buried it where you thought it was out of sight. And I remind you of the truth, and your divinity, when you turn to it, will remind you of the truth. Not so that the you think you are can embrace the truth and live it better, but so that in the experience of the reminder of what you know from that place of excellence in you, you have the opportunity to say, wow, maybe I'm going to stop making a choice for my best capacity to reason and think and come to conclusions and give definitions and manipulate the world. Maybe I'm going to abandon that in favor of this experience I'm having within me, which is an experience of utter peace and utter integrity and utter safety, in which I feel universally grounded and whole. Maybe I will give that preference and explore the experience more fully. All of this because you have been reminded of something. The voice of the Holy Spirit is compelling only because of what it reminds you of. Not because it reminded you with force, but because it stayed out of the way and illuminated some part of your divinity to you, so that you might, because it's part of you and you can tell that it's part of you, find the inclination to investigate it further. Continuing, it brings to your mind the other way, remaining quiet, even in the midst of the turmoil you have made for yourselves. The voice for God is always quiet because it speaks of peace. Yet peace is stronger than war because it heals. War is division, not increase. No one gains from strife. Quote, "What profiteth it a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" Unquote. That means that if he listens to the wrong voice, he has lost sight of his soul. He cannot lose it, but he can not know it. And I'm adding this, he cannot know it by consciously choosing to ignore it. You can all not know it by consciously choosing to ignore it, but ignoring something doesn't make it go away. And so when you consciously choose to ignore what you are in favor of an imaginary and exciting false picture of who you are, all you've done is, you might say, closed the door so that the truth about you is out of sight, out of mind. But it's still sitting there. It's sitting there at this moment, accessible to you at this moment, available to you at this moment. And you know what? You don't have to study any course in order to get the skill to re-access your right mind. All you have to do is let there be a little chink of doubt about the mind that you think you have. All you have to do is be willing to withdraw the trust you have invested in the way you're seeing things and say, Father, I would like to see the truth here. I would like to have and experience a point of view that's bigger and truer than any point of view I have arrived at. That's the way you do it. You withdraw investment of trust in the way you have decided everything is, and invite a new perspective from God. I say from God because you want a new perspective that is utterly truthful. And the word God to you does involve the meaning of ultimateness. So desire to know of that which is ultimate, what the truth is. And let there be a stronger intent to have the new experience than to reestablish the old one that you have created for yourself. Again, that means that if he listens to the wrong voice, he has lost sight of his soul. He cannot lose it, but he can not know it. It is therefore lost to him until he chooses right. The Holy Spirit is your guide in choosing. Isn't that amazing? The Holy Spirit is your guide in choosing. That means that when you chose to ignore the truth and make up truth for yourself, God didn't give you some other guide, something different from you to be your guide. The Holy Spirit is your own right mind. Therefore, as you lean into the Holy Spirit for the truer experience of being, you're leaning into how shall I say it? You're leaning into something you can trust because it's yourself. You're leaning into that which would be the most dependable thing that could be given to you to rely upon. Your divinity. Your guide isn't a stranger to you, in other words. What integrity that embodies. That what you must lean into is the voice for God that is your very own being. You get it? You get the integrity of it. You get the stability of it, the dependability of it, the reliableness of it. And the fact that the solution to the human condition is so utterly thoughtful, so utterly loving, and so full of integrity. In other words, you're leaning into your divine integrity in order to have it uncovered to you so that the process is one of constant, fuller confirmation of that which is valuable about you. You can feel the unity of it, the oneness of the process of coming home, and why it ultimately is I'm going to say maximally powerful. Again, the Holy Spirit is your guide in choosing. He is the part of your mind which always speaks for the right choice because he speaks for God. That is your measuring stick. If what you're hearing isn't speaking for God, it's not the Holy Spirit. If what you're listening to is speaking for you, so that you might be exercising better control with loftier motives in the world, you may know that you are listening to that which is going to bind you to longer dreams and more sleep. The Holy Spirit, reading again, is the part of your mind which always speaks for the right choice because he speaks for God. He is your remaining communication with God, which you can interrupt but cannot destroy. The Holy Spirit is the way in which God's will can be done on earth as it is in heaven. Both heaven and earth are in you because the call of both is in your will and therefore in your mind. The voice for God comes from your own altars to him. Now listen to this. These altars are not things. They are devotions. Yet, you have other devotions now. Your divided devotion has given you the two voices, and you must choose at which altar you will serve. Now again, you see, we're not talking about how to fix up your financial picture or your horrible relationship. We're not talking about what she's doing or what he's doing or what they're not doing. We're talking about what is essential before you can even address the healing of anything. And what is essential before you can truly address the healing of anything is for you to choose for the voice that will confirm healing rather than conflict and disease. So don't try to rush ahead. Don't try to skip over this. Reading. You have other devotions now. Your divided devotion has given you the two voices, and you must choose at which altar you will to serve. The call you answer now is an evaluation because it is a decision. Well, don't fuss around and mince around about whether or not you should be being decisive, because after all, the only thing that can be decisive is the ego. Bullshit. Make a decision. Make a choice between the voices. The decision itself is very simple. It is made on the basis of which call is worth more to you. My mind will always be like yours because we were created as equals. It was only my decision, my choice, that gave me all power in heaven and earth. My only gift to you is to help you make the same decision for yourself. I cannot make it for you. No one else can make it for you. You made the choice for moving into the realm of imagination and then trying to believe that what you were imagining was truly real. And you must unmake that choice by making the only other choice that's available to you, which is to abandon your imagined right to have ideas and thoughts of your own independent of God, and turn around from that and say, Father, thy will be done. Father, I wish to glorify you because I have decided that I want the effect of my presence to be an expression of what is truly, divinely, eternally real. I want the effect of my presence to embody and illuminate what is ultimate, not partial. But you've got to want it. No way you can do this on lip service. You've got to want it. You've got to decide for it. Continuing, the will for this decision is the will to share it, because the decision itself is the decision to share. You see, oh, I want to glorify God. Well, to what? To whom? Glorify. How? Are you just going to go out in the black corner of the universe and